Here we are. We are live.
We made it. Good evening.
Good evening. And how are you doing in sunny, warm Queensland?
Actually, it's not sunny. It's been rainy. It's actually we've been feeling you today because we've had Melbourne weather all day.
Weather. Yeah. Woke up,
rainy, miserable.
Sun, and then it's freezing again.
Yeah. Well, okay. Maybe we haven't had the coldness. We've only had the wet.
Yeah. Well, the good news is I do have shorts on, Kate. That's a good sign. But I also have my dressing gown behind me as well. So we're ready for everything.
And here I am in a singlet.
Yeah, that's right. You look warm. That's the important part.
Inside's a bit warmer than outside. Hey, Jamie Lee, how are you going, love?
Yeah, and today's a special day, Kate, before we get started into the actual episode, because Facebook reminded us of something this morning, and that was it's our 1 year anniversary for Mastering Life, Kate.
Happy birthday to us.
Yeah, so before we had a name, before we had episode numbers, and before we knew what we were really doing, we still don't know that bit, but we are definitely getting it.
I think we've definitely gotten better. Hey, Jody. Hey, Kat. Wet and miserable where Jamie Lee is as well.
Awesome. I think which is in New South Wales, if I remember rightfully, for that. We're learning.
Yes.
So, guys, when you jump on, number one is congratulate us. Thank you, Liz.
Yes. Thanks, Liz. Yes, happy birthday to us.
Yeah. Do we get to sing the whole song? I don't know.
You know what I'm like with singing, so let's not do that.
Yeah, Kate's exceptional at singing. Don't stress, guys.
I'm having heart palpitations already, even just kind of slightly thinking about it.
That sounds like a symptom of stress. Hey.
Yeah, that does actually get my cortisol up and stress me out. Dear. Which segues into what are we talking about today, Tim?
Hey, episode 40. Today we're talking of symptoms of stress, and in particular, we want to identify some of the precursors to stress and how your body not only physically but emotionally responds to stress. And our biggest takeaway we want from everyone tonight is for you to have that sense of awareness and to know your go-to symptoms, because as Kate, as you discovered, and you were going through the list, there's a lot of different ways stress can affect your body. And from physical illness, from feeling sick to feeling obviously anxious and depressed, and affecting things like your sex drive and breaking your habits and behaviours, your sleep. Like there's so much, and it can really flow on from one to the other. So today, we talked about, we're going to break this up to part two. Part one today, which is just going through everything that you could potentially experience and making sure you're aware of it and knowing your personal cheat sheet on what that is, and then you can start to get a bit of an action plan. And then we're going to do deep dive action plan in 2 weeks, Kate. Yeah, in a fortnight.
We're going to have a break next week because I'm actually at a personal development event, which we always talk about. Normally we'd be together, which I'm really, really sad about. This is the first year that Tim and we do an annual event, and that's actually how we met. And this is the first year that we're actually not going to be doing it together. But Tim will be up in a few weeks after, which I'll get to catch up with Tim, which will be actually a few weeks or a month or whatever after. So month after. So we'll get to catch up, and we may be able to do a live together if we get enough time, if he's up a bit earlier or whatever. But it's a shame we won't be doing it together, but I'm really excited next week. So we're going to have a break next week, and then we'll come back the week after, which will be great for this topic actually, because it'll give you time to be able to get a bit of an idea and look at your patterns and look at, what symptoms you might be actually having. And then, we're going to give you some tools and strategies on how you can work through those, the following week. So, and we've got a little gift for you if you come next week, that week as well. So,
yeah. Oh, we love gifts. Now, awesome. If you want a gift, not knowing what it is, if you want it to be a surprise, just let us know in the comments on wherever you're watching at the moment, and Kate and I will follow you guys up, and we'll make that happen. If you want special gifts.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. We've got a couple. We'll have a couple by the end of this actually. So there's a couple of things we're going to share with you guys. So
Kate, what stress, right? happens in so many different ways and can affect us, all affected completely different. It's one of those things that is very dependent on your own unique experience of life. And one of the things that is really interesting about stress is that something that can affect you really, really powerful may just slide off my back, and vice versa on the way with something completely different. So, you know, yeah, and I think one of the things that I probably want to put as a bit of a caveat to this is going, hey, don't judge yourself if you're stressed out about silly things or something that you perceive is silly, right? You know, because there'll be certain things that trigger you and they might seem not like a big deal, but the way you are responding to them at the moment, which can be changed, we'll talk about that, you know, physiologically and emotionally, you will find that we'll be able to fix it. Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah, and I think I love how you mentioned that, Tim, is not judging yourself on these things, because maybe you're not even aware that these things are actually coming up and rising for you. And they, you know, like the emotional stuff that we talk about, there's stress. It's got a link to an emotion of some sort, and we'll talk about the psychology around, you know, psychology, psychological and emotional side, because, you know, these things actually come up, and we can move into a more of a place of calmness if we know what they actually are and what are the triggers, and then find ways of actually, when this comes up for me, what can I do to do things in a different way, react and respond like we've talked about before. So, you know, some of the things that I wrote down and, you know, we've talked about before we came on live was, you know, some of the physical symptoms of stress, and, you know, and the thing is, we need to catch them before they get to, you know, people have chronic fatigue and stress, you know, impacts, you know, these things, and when you know, that affects your sleep and all those kind of things. So this is why we want to bring this up, because stress in people's lives are massive, you know, massive impact, and that rippling effect into other areas of their life. And if you can start to look at these things and work on these things prior to them actually blowing up or getting worse and getting internal sicknesses, you know, it's really important. And sometimes we just don't know what these things are. So some of them are, you know, having low energy all the time, having, you know, severe headaches all the time, or even mild headaches. If you're not used to having headaches and you're having headaches, there's a reason, you know, that's, you know, it might be a reason why that's coming up. So don't ignore these things. You might have stomach pains or, you know, diarrhea or constipation. You've got back pains, achings, tension in your muscles, you know, depending on, you know, what type of exercise and things that you do, or no, lack of exercise. You might have insomnia, you're having trouble to sleep, which is a big thing for people when they're highly stressed in their life. That impacts, you know, and that sleep patterns, you start being on social media too often, so that, you know, the blue light and watching TV and then drinking more alcohol, those kind of things, you know, don't ignore these things, you know. Nausea, dizziness, colds, you know, getting colds, frequent colds all the time, infections, your sex drive. You talked about, you know, loss of your sex drive, or, you know, not wanting to have sex, can be, you know, because of your lack of sleep and your stress, you know, stress levels, chest pains, heart rate, those types of things are some of the indicators that, you know, not to ignore.
Yeah, definitely. And one of the things that I want to add to this as well is that it starts to lead into some of your behaviours as well. So something like procrastination can be a symptom of stress. So if you feel like you're a procrastinator, and what I love about this is that procrastination in particular can be dropped off on one part of your life being caused by another. So what we find a lot of the time through the business coaching stuff is people that are suffering high financial stress won't make sales calls. And it's so counterintuitive, right? Because the only way they're going to make more money is to, you know, pick up the phone and dial for the dollars and do everything they need to do on that front. However, because they're experiencing financial stress, it'll cause procrastination, because stress will layer on top of each other, you know, so on not only a physical standpoint, but an emotional standpoint as well.
Yeah, so, absolutely. That's an awesome point. And that then is feeling like people feel that they've got lack of motivation, and they, you know, don't feel that they, you know, normally might have motivation to go and do exercise or eat healthy or, you know, whatever it might be. So that's they're an offset, aren't they? Yeah, definitely. And, you know, it really, these things, these physical symptoms really start to inhibit your day-to-day and week-to-week behaviours as well. So it's really, really important that if you're experiencing this stuff, and especially if it seems like it's for no reason,
yeah, you're probably experiencing some sort of stress in your life. So if you feel it, let us know. Yeah, give us a thumbs up, give us a like. Let us know.
Yeah.
Do you feel stressed? Because we all do a little bit, right? It just depends on, because it's natural and it's normal, and not all stress is bad. However, it depends on how we're responding to it and how we're dealing with it, which is what's going to turn it negative or positive impact in our life.
Absolutely. And being able to, if you're feeling those things come up, it's, how long are you staying in that state, and how long do you let that, carry on, and finding ways to minimize that impact on your body and your life is, it's getting on top of that, because nervous breakdowns come from lack of sleep, or, the stress levels, pressures at work, financial pressures, all that kind of stuff. It's such a, rippling effect. And, some of the, you mentioned earlier, some of the psychological and, emotional signs are you're feeling depressed, feeling moody, mood swings, which you maybe not used to, and, feeling anxious, and, being angry all the time, and, irritable or restless, restlessness. You mentioned the, overwhelm, and, unmotivated or unfocused, like you feel like you can't just focus on something directly, and, always, scattered, or you're feeling like you want to do something different all the time and not stay, on point and on target of, the things that will help you to move in the direction that for your business, as you mentioned, your business, or even your health goals or fitness, you can't seem to, be focused. We so live in our head as well. Like, I work with a lot of clients about moving from your head to your heart and more into your body. And we've got so many racing thoughts and ideas, and, constant worry that goes, going through your mind, that leads to, because you're not stressed, not able to sleep because you've got so much going on in your mind. And, that then we lack a memory, concentration, like you can't concentrate on certain tasks, or you're making mistakes, which then leads to more stress and frustration, or then you're not good enough for doing a job, or as as a parent, because your child hurts themselves because you weren't watching, or you were distracted, or whatever it might be. That all builds up. And then making decisions, I think, is a really making bad decisions. I don't like to say, good or bad, but, and label things, but making the decisions of eating foods that are not serving you. And then you feel like shit. So you go in that vicious cycle, or you make choices on eating out instead of making something at home, which could take you, half an hour, and then you eat the takeaway food. And that, is spending money that you don't actually have, and your budget, and, or you're spending money unnecessarily, and then you feel like shit for having that, and then you don't sleep as well. It's all just such a rippling effect. Yeah, definitely. And, it's funny how it works, right? Because one layer upon another layer until we get to a breaking point. So the first action item of the night is going, hey, is some of this stuff creeping in? Are you already at a breaking point? Where are you at the moment? I think that's the first check-in. So if you can comment, just let us know if some of this stuff is resonating with you and you're already experiencing some of this, and especially if you want to do something about it, because that's going to be a really important point. Yeah, and interact with us, as Tim said, because we'd love to be able to help you and give you some ideas and tips. We'll be doing that, in a couple of weeks. But, just becoming aware of what are some of the things that we've both mentioned that you've noticed already, that you're like, wow, I do that, or that happens, or I'm feeling like that. And, over the next couple of weeks, being aware of these, some of the, and I'm happy to write the list and send, comment below if you'd like the list. I'll send the list to you of the kind of things that, we mentioned, or I'll put it in the top of the comments for us to, for you to refer to and go, okay, yep, over the next couple of weeks, I'm noticing this is my body, because that's the whole mind and body connection too, which, is another topic that we'll cover off another time, of that, intuitive, kind of emotional connection with your mind and body. What's the body actually telling you? Because the body gives us signals, and it's about us not ignoring those. Jodie's been experiencing some of that of late, definitely, and we're working through some of those things. It's it's that rippling effect of then making not the right choices, or then feeling like you're going around in circles. It's pretty stress is just such a big thing. Yeah, and we've listed a whole heap of different symptoms, physical and psychological at the moment. So one of the things to note is that this creates essentially a cheat sheet for you to know that when you're experiencing these things on a low level, that you might be those first couple of layers of stress might be kicking in.
and there might be something that you're not dealing with, or there might be, you know, starting to get too much of something, you know, maybe everything's starting to pile up, or, you know, it's getting too busy. So it's really important to understand what these early warning signs are that you are pushing your level that you can tolerate for stress.
Yeah, absolutely. And Jason's just saying he noticed stress levels rise because you're not feeling fit and, you know, sweating, you know, the days out. And that's, yeah, that's definitely when you're not actually doing the exercise and you get that, adrenaline, you know, from releasing those, you know, things that you might be coming, you know, in your life. Or it could, you know, you use exercise, Jason. It can be, you know, meditation or yoga, all those kind of things, which we won't go into too much. But yeah, it's can be those things that come up that you don't really realize until, you know, we can push it away. It's like the emotional stuff we talk about. We push it away, push it down. No, you know, my body's telling me these kind of, you know, things. I'm not sleeping. I haven't been sleeping for a couple of days, or, you know, doing certain things. If you just ignore them, that's when it kind of, you know, then something else picks up and builds up, and you just, you know, next thing it's out of control.
So homework point number 2, my friends, is to start taking note of exactly what your early symptoms are. Okay. One of the things that, for example, a couple of things that are early symptoms for me is, number 1 is I get overwhelmed really easily all of a sudden. So I can operate at a really high level, and I can make stacks of decisions, and I can work really, really fast. And then all of a sudden, when I get to a certain level of stress, I just go, I can't do any of it. Yeah, I can't deal with it, and I like to hide. So that's symptom number 1. Number 2 is that because of that extra layers of stress, I feel fatigued all the time, right? So I see this because I go from 2 or 3 cups of coffee to 5 or 6 cups of coffee. I go from eating like more of a high protein based diet to a really high carb diet. Yeah, so instead of like bacon and eggs for breakfast, it becomes a toast with jam. You know, so it really swaps over, and that's me searching for the energy or for the quick hit or the way out. So there are a couple of really early signs for me.
And that's funny, isn't it? When you go for those types of foods, you think that they're going to give you the energy, the coffee, the high carbs, you know, but overload, you know, the carbs, which actually make you sleepier and actually, you know, don't actually give you the nutrients that you need. And that coffee, you get the spikes and, you know, all that kind of stuff. So it's, even though that's what your body wants, or you feel that that's what the body wants, but it's actually, you know, not what the body wants. That's just what you're used to doing as well, aren't you?
Yep. Yeah, 100%. You know, that it's become that ingrained, almost a habit of when I get stressed as a gentle coping mechanism for those things. And it can be subtle, right? Like you don't normally go from 3 coffees to 6 tomorrow. Yeah, but you go from 3 to 4. Yeah. And then it's 5, then it's 6, and then before you know it, you're shaking at 8 o'clock every night. You know? Yeah.
And you know, and it ends up being that you know, people call the comfort food, you know, that is that coffee now, Tim? Cat might be on you.
Promise it's only the 3rd one today, so we're good.
I hope it's decaf. Tim.
Warming my soul, yeah.
Warming your soul. Liz was just saying that I was feeling stressed since I hurt my back last week, feeling like I failed that self-sabotage. She's self-sabotaging herself, would make me feel worse. I got out of my head to refocus and started to feel better. That's awesome, Liz. And that's what it's about, recognizing it and you know, because then we get into that stage of, that's where sabotage comes in. It's like, well, you know, I've done so well with, you know, certain stage of your journey or whatever it might be, and then you've maybe having a day or 2 or 3 that, you know, you've been stressed, or the kids are sick or whatever, or you're sick or whatever it might be, and so I've got to start again, you know, and you know, I've got to reset and all that kind of stuff. It's that, you know, it's okay, like it's, you know, that's when we kick into the sabotage to go, oh well, you know, you're really sick, or you know, you get in your head that you know, that it's over. You know, this is, you know, it's just the world's coming to an end type thing, and then you stress yourself out. Start choosing foods that are, you know, going to make you feel worse, and you know, have the alcohol, or you know, the heavy carbs and all those kind of things. That, you know, the heavy breads, and you know, then have ice creams, and then it's just this downwards, you know, stress spiral. You know, and you think it's going to fix you or help you, but then it's doing the total opposite.
Okay, you bring up an excellent point too, with things like alcohol and cigarettes and that sort of stuff as well. Like you mentioned alcohol then. that might be your go-to, yeah, as you try and relax at the end of an evening, right? The increase in wine, or it could be beer or whatever it is. You'll have a different coping mechanism. The other thing that people will use for coping mechanisms is tech. Yeah. So we'll get on, we'll be scrolling through social media more, or we'll be watching TV, or we'll be on video games, or, and all of those are healthy in small doses. However, what you'll notice is it'll start affecting the areas in your life that you want to improve. And that's when it becomes an issue.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, that's exactly right. Oh, you've stuffed everything. Just have eat the whole cupboard and go out and buy some more shit. Yeah, absolutely. That's, Kat's been working with me around, breathing techniques, and, when her, the anxiety or stress kind of builds up, it's okay, grounding, and, it doesn't have to be long breaths, but long, sessions of breath, but just taking, small breaths, which, if you need any help with that, please let me know. That's what I do. And, be able to ground yourself to be able to, minimize the stress for, periods of time, so you can make decisions clearer and make some choices, different choices. It's really powerful to, take that time. I was going to mention, I notice with myself, like, I don't watch TV, but I notice sometimes when I do start to, not necessarily stress levels, but there's a form of, stress, like, the overwhelm or whatever, but I don't actually feel stress, but I, maybe feeling a little bit more tired than normal. I will start, there's just a stage at the moment, I've actually noticed that I've been wanting to sit and watch some TV, but then it kind of, I noticed it's, I was getting every night, and just, it's only I don't watch the news or anything like that, but, I might be watching Friends or, something like that, but I've noticed it's kind of eating into and coming more into my day, which is taking away from other things that I want to be actually doing, like my meditation or doing my journaling or doing some more of my business stuff or whatever. So it's being aware of those things. And I've noticed that it's like, oh, okay, so that's not actually serving me to move in the direction I want to move into. So where are we spending our time? Social media, same thing. I find myself getting into the vortex of, thinking I'm doing business stuff, and then I'm flicking, and the next minute, an hour's gone by and we say we've got no time. Do we actually have no time? Right? So it's, once you're aware of those things, it's okay, well, what's really, really important to me? And where do you spend that time?
And I think that the big secret with what you were talking about then too, Kate, is that you're able to recognize this really early too. And this, the earlier you get onto this, the easier it is to pull yourself out. So, and obviously the cool thing about Kate is she's done the work, guys. So if you're not good at getting onto this early, Kate's also very experienced in this, teaches it every day, so you know what's going on. But the earlier you can get on, and it's never too late. That's the other thing, I guess. But the earlier you can get onto it, the easier the problems are to fix, because you don't get into like a vortex issue, right? Where you're dealing with social media, you're dealing with diet, you're not exercising, you're not sleeping, you're not emotionally intelligent anymore, and you feel like your life's because that's what happens, because it goes bang, bang, bang. Next one affects the next one, and before you know it, then you're in the vortex.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's good for people to know, like, we've done a lot of work on this stuff, as you said, but we're human too. Like, we all go through these, like Tim and I both go through, and we talk about this quite often when we catch up. There's things that we go through, and it's constant practice. But as you said, it's when you notice it and recognize it. That's the thing I've learned over the years is, yes, I still have this, different stresses come into my life, or, emotional experiences, or, different things in my life. And it's how long we stay in those emotional states, and allowing ourselves to, and being aware, so we can actually work through them and have the tools to be able to progress and stay, not allow, not have it like it used to for me, definitely take over my life. I'd go into a bubble and pretend, and push everything away and all those kind of stuff. So it's good for people to know that, even us that and lots of other people that do all this stuff, practice this stuff. It's, it's ever growing and evolving. As you grow and evolve, different things come up or surface, or things that you need to heal from. And, and stress can be something to heal from too, can't it? Like, and, coming back to the emotional stuff that we do, and we talk about, that's, stress comes up and triggers come up for you to look at these emotional things that are having you lose sleep at night, and worry, like keeping you awake at night and worrying you about things that might be in the future that haven't even happened yet.
Yeah, and I think the other thing too is we're talking about stress as it negatively impacts in your life, hey, but not all stress is bad, right? Okay, it's going to be really, really good for you as well, but it's about managing your doses. And making sure, again, you're using it all as a positive impact. So, like a deadline can be a really good thing to get something done. Yeah. So we're not saying to de-stress, get rid of all your deadlines and just live out in the forest. That would be awesome. You need those things to grow and to push yourself and do that sort of stuff. But just be aware that you need to manage your symptoms along the way.
Yeah, absolutely. It's so true. That's funny. It's having, as you said, having deadlines and having, things to work towards. That adrenaline comes up. Like when I was in recruitment, I used to love having, though, when a client would ring me and say I'd need to, have to have a certain amount of clients, workers out onto site the next day. I'd be like, holy shit balls, at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, and I had to have 10 people out on site in the morning at 6 o'clock in the morning, but that adrenaline and, that kind of stress that would kick in at the first point would be, I'd be pumped and I'd be so excited to, get that process going. But it's, you've got to be careful that, that doesn't too much stress. Irish coffee again, Tim. They're onto you. They know you too well, Tim, don't they? even cats catching on to you.
That's why we're doing this stuff.
Yeah.
But if anyone owns a coffee shop and wants a plug in exchange, exactly. we might be able to organise something. We can be sponsored.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, or whiskey, whatever we need.
Way to a man's heart, Tim's heart.
Easy.
So that you're exactly right. There's two sides to it, isn't there, of stress? But managing and knowing those signs.
Yeah, and I think I just wanted to highlight, that we're not talking about the positive side of it today. We're definitely focusing on that. How is it negatively impacting you? But we do understand that there is a good side, and that might even be a future. How do you use stress appropriately? I think, Kate, would be a cool thing to do, depending on how much time we might even go over it.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, I think that's all I've got to add for tonight's one that we wanted to talk about. Have you got anything else to add, Tim?
Yeah, definitely. Hey, who would like a guide on how to help with the stress? Yeah? Who would like Kate's best secrets for stress relief? Because that's what we're going to be giving away in our next one, which will be in 2 weeks, episode 41. We're going to talk part 2. We're going to talk about how to solve these problems, solutions to your stress. Yeah, and we're going to have a great ebook nickname for KK's.
Absolutely.
Fantastic.
Excellent, Jamie Lee.
We will get that to
just
you.
Putting a hand up too. Awesome.
Yeah, and we're not charging for this, obviously, unless you want to donate all of your money to us.
Yeah. Donations are welcome.
So if you would like that, if you like Kate's guide on this, fantastic, Jody, please just put your hand up, let us know. We'll put you guys on a list and we will get that organised to you, ready for next episode, which will be in a fortnight, hey? Because KK is going to be growth. You're going to come in, you're going to be 1% taller.
Yes, I'm really excited, and I'll be sharing my wins and my, breakthroughs and all that kind of stuff. So there's awesome, Sarah, all the stuff that, or donate whiskey. Yes. Vodka. I'm a vodka, not a whiskey.
I wouldn't recommend sending it that far north, you know, so I'll take it.
Take it. Well, you can bring it up. You can bring it up on your when you come up, Tim. But yeah, I'll be I look forward to sharing some of those, some of that experience, and then Tim will be able to share his a couple of weeks after. So maybe we can do some of the takeaways from both of our experiences at those events. So
cool.
Excellent. Well, thank you everyone for jumping in. Vodka is definitely better. I'm with you, Jamie Lee.
We know our targets.
Exactly. Thank you everyone for jumping in, and if you come in later, please hashtag replay and let us know what your takeaway is or something that's come up for you, and we look forward to sharing the next episode with you guys. It's been it'd be great to give you some tips and more ideas to take away and what impact do in your life.
Yeah, perfect. And remember, Wednesday the 19th is our next episode. So if we're not here next week, that's for a reason. But we'll put the normal events up and we'll schedule it up, and we look forward to seeing you guys then. But thank you for joining us, KK. Fantastic work as per normal. And episode 40.
Tim. Thank you everyone for joining in, and we look forward to seeing you again soon.
See you guys.
Thanks, guys. See ya.